Hello everybody, this is TipTop MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering news video. In today's video, we are going to be going over all the spoilers that were released today, June 9th. So these are all for Core Set 2021. I'm going to break down every spoiler, tell you what I think, tell you how powerful I think it is, and just give you my thoughts. So why don't we jump right into this. Starting off, we have Idol of Endurance. It's a 3-cost white artifact rare. When Idol of Endurance enters the battlefield, exile all creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard until it leaves the battlefield. Pay 2, tap, until end of turn you may cast a creature spell from among the cards exiled with Idol of Endurance without paying its mana cost. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to play this, it's going to exile all your CMC 3 or less things, and then you can pay 2 once per turn cycle essentially, or if you can untap Idol, you can do it multiple times to cast one of the cards without paying its mana cost. Now, you can't exile more things with Idol of Endurance unless you can flicker it, so this if this were to see play, it would probably go in a Yorion deck where you could, cast all the things you exiled, and then flicker it, and then re-exile everything. So, yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's kind of a Luris-esque effect. I just think it's a lot worse because it's only creatures, and it's only, letting you get creatures from the time you play Idol of Endurance. So, if it let you always do this, that would be pretty crazy, but since it's basically just a snapshot of your graveyard when it enters the battlefield, it loses a lot of its value. Next, we have Pursued Whale. It's a 7-cost creature whale, 8/8. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent creates a 1/1 red pirate creature token with this creature can't block, and creatures you control attack each combat if able. Spells your opponents cast that target Pursued Whale cost 3 more to cast, so it's much harder to target, and essentially, your opponents are going to have to attack each combat if able because they have this creature, and the creature can't block, which means that you don't have to worry about attacking and having them block and getting rid of the effect. So, it ends up being pretty powerful. And then in limited, I mean, I know this is a rare, but if you pull this in limited, it is an 8/8 for 7 in blue. Now, I know your opponents do get a 1/1, which is probably their justification here, but this 1/1's actually more of a negative thing, I feel like. So, honestly, this is a really good blue creature. I mean, yes, they get a 1/1, but it's going to make it so they have to attack with everything, and they might have already been doing that, but now you have an 8/8, and so worst case scenario, you kill the 1/1. Best case scenario, they have creatures they don't want to swing with, and you kill them. Next, we have Stormwing's Presence. It's a 5-cost creature elemental, 3/3 for 5. It says, this spell costs 2 and a blue less to cast if you have cast an instant or sorcery this turn, so you're going to want to throw this in a deck with lots of 1 or 2 cost. It has flying, prowess, and whenever it enters the battlefield, scry 2. So just very good in a spells deck. It can come out pretty early, although it is a 3/3 with flying for 5, or it can become a 3/3 with flying for 2. So, if you're getting it for 2, you're probably paying at least 1 for the spell. So, in a prowess deck, that it probably would work really well. Next, we have Grasp of Darkness. This is a black instant, and it says target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn. Honestly, not that bad for a 2-cost removal. Now, it does require double black, which means that you have to, be a little more color restrictive and have a better mana base, but yeah, this might be better than, and it's good, but a lot of the time you want kill spells to kill things that are bigger and better than 4 toughness, although it's really good at taking out those little things that have cool effects, so really good and limited, but most removal spells are. Next, we have Argentines Vessel. This is a 1-cost black creature human cleric 1/1 with lifelink, and it says when it enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. So, I'm not sure why they thought this was a good idea to print, knowing that Luris was going to be in the meta and not changed. When they designed this card, they did not know that Luris was getting nerfed, so they thought this was okay. I mean, you do only get it once, but that's pretty crazy, especially because it can kind of get around the having to have a lot of really cheap creatures. You can end up with a 5/5. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Next, we have Soul Seer. It's a 3-cost red instant. It says Soul Seer does 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible until end of turn, so pretty cool card. It can get rid of a lot of the gods, not all of them, but a lot of them, and yeah, just an interesting way for red to deal with indestructible things. Next, we have Volcanic Salvo. It's a 12-cost sorcery, and it says this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of power of creatures you control. And it says Volcanic Salvo deals 6 damage up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers of your choice. So, you know, if you have 3/1/1s out, this thing only costs 9. But when you look at it, you're dealing a damage per mana, which isn't a great rate. I mean, some of the best burn spells are 3 damage per mana, but theoretically you could be casting this for 2, and then you're dealing 12 damage for 2 mana. So if you have enough creatures or big enough creatures, this is probably good in a like mid-range red deck that wants to, I mean, even a red rush deck, and it's a lot of 1/1s, but those all add up. You're getting them, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not sure if this will see any play. Next, we have Pride Malkin. It's a 3-cost green creature cat, 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It can be itself, and then creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So, yeah, it just gives trample to all your things with counters. Pretty good in any counters deck, because that's a lot of the time what the problem they run into is, oh, I have all these counters, but you keep jump blocking. So, pretty good. Next, we have Increased Vitality. It's a 3-cost instant. It says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the amount of +1/+1 counters on it. So, at bare minimum, this is a 3-cost, put 2 +1/+1 counters on something. If it already had +1/+1 counters, maybe it had Hydra's Growth on it already, you can then just double it. And yeah, pretty meh. Probably really good in a like +1/+1 counter deck within a like limited environment, but I'm not sure this is going to see any standard play. Next, we have Droll Royale, Moanaville Recluse. Wow, I probably butchered that. It's a 2-cost. It is a 2-cost green legendary creature, human druid, 1/2, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat token. So, you know, on your opponent's turn, on your turn, whatever, you're able to draw your second card. You get a 2/2, which is very potent. And pay 6 until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So generally just wants to draw a lot of cards. I've noticed it is a it thing to want to do that, but now it seems to be a Simic thing. This is like the second card we've seen that has really promoted drawing cards. So it looks like Simic is going to want to draw cards in this set. So I'm looking forward to a combination of Is It and Simic, draw a bunch of cards, do things with it. So, whoa. Next, we have Heroic Intervention. This is an awesome reprint. I believe it's about a $20 card, or at least it was. Now it's devalued. It's a 2-cost instant. It says permanent 2 control, gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Probably nice in a like sideboard in standard, but I know this will see a lot of play. Not see a lot of play, but it will be nice now in Commander because it's a heavily played Commander card. Yeah, pretty good. Next, we have Dire Fleet Warbringer. It's a 3-cost creature orc pirate, 3/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may sack another creature. If you do, it gets +2/+2 and trample until end of turn. Pretty generic, mostly meant for limited for the black-red theme of sacrificing things, because that's always what black-red does. Next, we have Obsessive Stitcher. It's a 3-cost blue-black creature human wizard, 0/3, tap, draw a card, discard a card. That's pretty good on just a tap. 4, tap, sacrifice it, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is honestly insane. Think about it. Okay, what does a reanimator deck want to do? Okay, they want to draw a bunch of cards to make sure they get to their big stuff. They want to throw stuff in their graveyard, and then they want to resurrect it. This does all of that. You play it. Oh, I don't have anything big in my graveyard. Okay, draw, discard. I have something big in my graveyard, but don't have a resurrection spell. Okay, this is a resurrection spell. So this card, if you're running a reanimator deck, is probably going in it. So I think this was a mistake to print. I don't know how big of an issue it's going to be. One of the bigger targets to reanimate just got removed, but we are in black here. There's Villas and a bunch of other really fun stuff to reanimate. And if we're in like historic, we have Ulamog. So, yikes. Next, we have Mountain. This one is just every day they seem to be spoiling a new land based around the Planeswalkers. So this is a Shaundra Mountain. Pretty cool looking. Next, we have the temples are being reprinted, and a lot of people I saw were upset about this. They're like, these are such bad lands. But I think it makes a lot of sense, and if you didn't see this coming, I feel like it was very obvious. I mean, not everyone saw it coming. There was an argument to be made that maybe these are reprinted in Zendikar Rising, but I had a feeling that these were going to be printed in one of the two sets for the simple reason that it wouldn't make sense for half the temples to be in Theros and then the other half to rotate out. So this just kind of keeps them in standard, and I wouldn't be surprised if we always see Scrylands in core sets going on. Although, when it comes to the next core set, they won't have this pressure to do these temples because these and Theros, the Theros ones, are going to be cycling out or rotating out of standard at the same time. So they may move away from that, but I feel like they were kind of obligated to do this. Although, maybe not. Next, we have Fabled Passage. This is something from Eldraine, a very high value card. It will be rotating out at the same time as Eldraine, so this was mostly put in here to lower the price of the card. So yeah, pretty good card. I'm happy to see a reprint of it. It also means you're more likely to get another one if you don't have 4 and you're not buying older packs, so that's good. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Also, let me know what you guys think of these spoilers in the comments down below. Yeah, either way, see you guys in the next one.